What happens when the person you trust most betrays you in the darkest way? Tolugo thought she had everything: a loving husband, a beautiful daughter, and a life filled with promise. But when her mother, Mama Busy, came to babysit, the bonds of family were shattered, and love turned into betrayal. Now, Tolugo must face a heartbreaking truth: the one person who was supposed to protect her has taken the one thing she loved most. This is the story of a mother's twisted love and a daughter's fight to reclaim her life. It was a fairy tale come true. Tolugo had found her prince in Adebayo. Their love, as bright as the sun above them, was going to last forever. Little did she know, the seeds of betrayal were already being planted in the shadows. Adura, their beautiful baby girl, was born with a promise of hope and endless love. Adebayo's hands, once full of promises, now gently cradled the child who was their future. But every new beginning comes with its own silent storms. The early days were perfect. Adebayo was every bit the loving husband, and Tolugo, the perfect mother. But as the nights grew longer, Tolugo's exhaustion began to take its toll. Little did she know, there was more brewing in her absence than she could ever imagine. Mama Busy arrived with the grace of a queen, ready to offer her support, but her presence, like a storm cloud, was beginning to loom over the household. Her motives were hidden in plain sight, concealed behind layers of charm and sweet smiles. At first, it seemed innocent: Mama cooking meals, Adebayo sharing laughs. Yet, her charm was subtle, like poison disguised in a honeyed smile. She knew how to capture his attention, and little by little, she was drawing him closer into her world. Adebayo, once a devoted husband, found himself drawn to Mama Busy's wisdom and warmth. The late-night talks grew longer, her compliments more frequent. It was not love he felt, it was the hunger for attention he had long forgotten. Tolugo felt it. The subtle shift in the air, the unspoken words, the uncomfortable silences. Her heart, once full of trust, was now clouded with suspicion. She couldn't put her finger on it, but something was changing between Adebayo and Mama Busy. Her influence over Adebayo deepened with every passing day. It wasn't obvious, but there was something dangerous about her mother. Tolugo, caught in the whirlwind of motherhood, had no idea how tightly Mama Busy had woven her web. It was a loud confrontation. It was even an argument. It was a discovery, quiet, devastating. The realization hit her like a cold slap to the face. Her own mother had taken what was hers. She yelled at her mother. She raised her voices, a bitter truth hanging between them. "Why, Mama?" Tolugo asked, her voice barely a whisper. Mama Busy's answer was wrapped in layers of regret and a truth too ugly to bear. Adebayo said nothing. His silence spoke louder than words ever could. He was the man caught between two worlds, the woman who birthed him, and the one who had become his wife. His failure to act tore the family apart. Trust, once the foundation of their relationship, crumbled like a house of cards. Tolugo's world shattered. She was no longer sure of who she could trust, not even the woman who had given her life. Mama Busy, once proud and sure, now felt the weight of her actions. The guilt gnawed at her, eating away at the woman she thought she was. Her betrayal had left a permanent scar on her family. Adebayo, now alone, realized too late what he had lost. The attention he sought from Mama Busy had come at the cost of his family. Was it worth it? His heart screamed for Tolugo, but it was too late to mend the broken trust. Word spread quickly through the community, like wildfire. Mama Busy, once respected, was now the subject of harsh whispers. Her betrayal became a cautionary tale, and the shame she carried would follow her for years to come. In the end, Mama Busy was forced to face the truth of her own choices. Would she fight for redemption, or would she let her guilt swallow her whole? The future seemed uncertain, but one thing was clear: no matter what, she would never be the same again. Tolugo found herself at a crossroads, her emotions torn between the desire for revenge and the need for healing. Her heart ached for Adebayo, for the love they once shared, but she couldn't forget the sting of Mama Busy's betrayal. Was forgiveness even possible? Could her heart ever feel whole again? In the silence of her solitude, Tolugo made a decision. She would let go of the bitterness, the anger, and the betrayal. For herself, for Adura, and for the future. It wasn't about forgetting what happened. It was about freeing herself from the chains of the past. Forgiveness wasn't for Mama Busy or Adebayo, it was for her. Adebayo, broken and regretful, approached Tolugo. He had lost the woman he loved, the woman who gave him everything. But how could he ask for forgiveness? How could he make up for the unthinkable? His heart cried out, but Tolugo stood silent, waiting for the right words to come. Mama Busy returned, but this time, she was no longer the confident, manipulative woman who once ruled the home. She was a broken figure, humbled by her actions. "I'm sorry," she whispered, though the words felt foreign on her lips. Could a mother ever truly betray her child and hope to be forgiven? Family dinners, once filled with laughter and warmth, were now uncomfortable silences. Tolugo and Adebayo tried to rebuild the pieces of their broken relationship, but the scars remained. Mama Busy, once the pillar of their home, was now a stranger in their midst, lost and alone. The isolation of betrayal had come full circle for Mama Busy. She had no one to turn to, no one who could understand the depth of her regret. The woman who once had everything was now the woman no one wanted. She sat alone in her room, a prisoner of her own actions. Adebayo knew that words alone couldn't fix the damage. But actions, he believed, could. As he walked beside Tolugo, he promised to make things right, not just for her, but for himself. He knew the road ahead was long, but he was willing to walk it. He hoped that, in time, they could find a way back to each other. Mama Busy's final plea came as a whisper, lost to the winds. "Please, forgive me," she thought. But forgiveness, it seemed, was something that had to be earned. No amount of apology could undo the years of manipulation. And as she watched the river flow, she understood, some things are lost forever. Tolugo emerged from the ashes of betrayal stronger than ever. Her love for Adebayo had not died, but she had learned to love herself more. The future was no longer a shared dream, but a solo journey she was willing to take, for herself and for her daughter. The life she once knew was gone. Mama Busy wandered through the world, a stranger in a place she once belonged. She had lost her family, her love, and now, she walked alone. But with that loneliness came clarity. She would never be the same. Adebayo, left with nothing but regret, wondered if he could ever repair the damage he had caused. He had betrayed the woman he loved and lost his place in his own family. Now, all he had left were the memories of what once was. The bond between mother and daughter, once so strong, was now shattered beyond repair. Tolugo had moved on with her life, and Mama Busy was left to reflect on her actions. There would be no reconciliation, no return to the past. The betrayal had changed everything. In the end, Tolugo learned that betrayal doesn't just break hearts, it shatters families. Mama Busy's choices left scars that could never fully heal, and Adebayo's silence cost him the love he once cherished. But through the pain, Tolugo discovered her own strength. Betrayal may wound, but forgiveness and self-worth light the path to healing. And so, let this story remind us, love without loyalty destroys, but true loyalty is what keeps families whole.